Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Football Uncensored podcast, featuring John Sitton, of course, and myself, Rob Kirton, asking a few questions and putting forward a few prompts for John to respond to. Firstly, a quick apology. We've had a bit of a hiatus, probably about a month to the day, I think, according to my calculations. Been a bit tricky to join the dots during June, and it's also fair to say, apart from the end of the actual season, it's June isn't a big month of football news, but we've got a few bits we're going to talk about. So, um, secondly, thank you to everyone for their patience, loyal followers especially. New followers hopefully will gain some, and we've gained some since. Please, could those that do watch us continue to like and share and subscribe and pass on social media and then just general chats with your mates, etc. Any friends you've got that like a bit of football, I think they'd probably benefit from listening to John. Speaking of which, John, that's enough for me for the time being anyway. How are you?
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, yeah. Likewise. So I obviously apologies for we missed a few weeks, but it's just the timelines. You know what I mean? Like I rely on my son for the technical support, and then like you've been working or you've had commitments. I've been working. I've had commitments, and then like it's been busy going out in the black cab and whatever. Like, obviously, I'm a black cab driver for 22 years now, and 22 and a half years. And whereas it used to be busy all the way through the year, it's become more seasonal. So, it's the proverbial sort of make hay while the sun shines, pardon the pun, because it's scorching again. Yeah. So, but all you're doing really is making up for the lack of work in January, February, March, and April. Yeah, but here we are. We got a lot of things right. We got most things right. Couple of things wrong. But only in terms of like being beaten in the final, which was Palace, Man City, Liverpool. I've stuck with for 2 years. Um, Spurs, Newcastle for the League Cup. Pleased to say Chelsea come up with something, and yeah, we got most of it right. But the player awards, they were no brainers really. I remember having a
No.
discussion with Alan Hudson about Sane and my preference, Mo Salah. I said, yeah, it's all about opinions, but like the bottom line is, I think he's the best striker in the league for a number of seasons now, and the statistics back that. Plus the obvious thing, unbelievable talent, ability, pace, beautiful cultured left foot, and he can score or lay things on. But like the personal awards, like the player awards, we didn't really go into that. And like you say, it's been a bit of a too much of an hiatus, and here we are now, Club World Cup, etc., etc. England,
Mm.
we missed two England games, which I'm glad to say I
We
did
did
miss
we?
them. I only saw the highlights. I thought they were embarrassing. But anyway, over to you, mate. You ask what you want to ask. I'll see if I can respond.
Well, like you say, that we're going to sort of skip our your end of season awards a little bit too obvious, but we will focus on a little bit of a feature from what came out of the season, which was the relative or comparative success of the London clubs, which everyone knows you're uh, a big supporter of, um, given your given your history and where you live, etc. So they
Yeah,
collected between them three cups: Palace, as you just mentioned, the FA Cup;
yeah,
Chelsea, the Europa Conference League, get my teeth in, which is probably UEFA Cup in old money, and Spurs, which is the one we're going to sort of focus on initially, winning the Europa League. So the middle one, possibly the Cup Winners' Cup in old money, but that gets them a slot into the Champions League, despite them finishing um, just above the relegation zone in the league, as we touched on in the previous episode. Since then, obviously, they've took the decision to change the manager. So
yeah.
a couple of things there: the the pleasure of the success of the London clubs, including Chelsea, and probably more larger focus on Spurs changing their manager after that result.
Yeah. Delighted, obviously. Couple of things. Pleased that Chelsea got something out of the season apart from the qualification for the Champions League. Still a young side. The only thing I would be guarded against is the fact that, unlike my day and then the days before and the days following immediately after, a lot of the talent was homegrown. Then there was a bit of a gap, and then there was a massive amount of homegrown talent, leading to a lot of success. Roman Abramovich, I was reading an article about it actually, Roman Abramovich, with regards to the Home Office and the Foreign Office taking him to court over like the frozen assets from the sale of the club, which I think's been despicable because it's so hypocritical. It's unreal. Um, as in he's associated with Putin and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Um, Without straying too far into it, you know, I'm pretty sure our government have been guilty of successive governments actually being associated with what you might call um, not
Questionable figures.
questionable regimes. Let's put it that way. Yeah, questionable figures and questionable regimes. But anyway, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Palace,
doing
I
best.
think it's disgusting the way they've been treated. Absolutely disgusting with this UEFA thing. Again, the hypocrisy is astounding. People at UEFA maybe got a slap round the top of the legs, or you know what I mean. But they got let off FIFA, UEFA. With varying degrees of corruption and malfeasance, and now they're having a stewards inquiry, which is actually questioning the integrity of a Giroud's part ownership in Palace and a French club, dictates the fact they've got to look into whether Palace can play in the competition they actually qualified for, which I think is despicable, if the truth be
Yeah.
told. But brilliant, brilliant. I watched the game. Brilliant performance. Very, very well organised. Very well disciplined. Asked questions of City that City couldn't answer. And they're proper off the boil, City on all fronts. Because I had them down for the FA Cup. Um, Spurs or Newcastle, turned out to be Newcastle for the League Cup, Liverpool for the league. Real Madrid let me down in the Champions League a little bit, but I just think it had gone a bit stale there anyway. So
Mm.
hence, like they're having a massive revamp. But yeah, good season for London, as everyone knows. Um, Chelsea 6 years, Millwall 2 years, Orient 10 years, six as a player, four as a coach. Could have gone to West Ham on loan under John Lowell, big regret. Brentford wanted to buy me. Keith Peacock knows the move. Wouldn't let me go to a supposed rival. Fantastic club, well run. Gone from strength to strength to strength. As I said, things could be and should be on, sort of limited gate and budget. Um, yeah, so it's nice to see all the London clubs do well because obviously it's like I've said before. I'm not that tribal really. Although the butter's spread pretty thin because I've just said what I've said, and then I was also brought up as an Arsenal supporter. Then I've got a soft spot for the West Ham Bobby Moore story. You know what I mean? Being a like a romantic East Ender, but yeah. So it's spread pretty thin, me loyalty, but I like all British clubs to do well in Europe and all London clubs to do well at home, and it's proved to be a pretty good season. Um,
Well,
yeah.
the last club you come.
Now, just what you're saying, I thought the longer they left it, see, one of the successes was Spurs, and they hadn't
Mm.
won something for, what was it, 17, 18 years?
Uh,
Even longer a European trophy.
oh, European trophy. I'd Somebody shoot me. Feel free to shoot me down, but I'd say European trophy might have been 1984,
Yeah, no,
and
you're right. It was 84. And I think
your
it was,
mate Paul
and it was
Miller.
under an ex-Arsenal manager that they won the League Cup. Um, but yeah, I was watching a few games on YouTube actually. I see all the boys I come up with playing. I'd left the club. I'd had me fall out with Sir Jep Hurst and Bobby Gould. Um, and I'd hit the proverbial brick wall, and I was doing myself no favours. I'll probably, I'll end up admitting as much in my second book. They turned out to be 100% right. I turned out to be 100% wrong. Um, I was an headstrong, objectionable, truculent teenager. Um, and they didn't know how to handle me, whereas all the previous regimes did. Um, I was watching it, and you're right, because I actually see one of my old schoolboy teammates, Paul Miller. He had a fantastic game. I was watching the Chelsea v Spurs sixth round FA Cup tie in 1982. Chelsea 2 after taking the lead. Chelsea 2, Tottenham 3. Maxi had a cracking game and a near miss with an header, but defended with distribution and defending was top draw. Then at the back for Chelsea, boys I come through the system with Chivers and Nutton, Mickey Nutton and Gary Chivers, and then in midfield Mickey Fillery who got the first goal of the game. Yeah, but I'm looking at that. I'm looking at all of that, and it's a long, 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 long time. But going all round the houses, Rob. Sorry to do that. Yeah, in a nutshell, I thought the
Well,
longer it went on, having experienced it under first of all, Tony Wood said I should be giving you a contract, but I can't give you a contract because I can't leave any contractual, in inverted commas, liabilities for a prospective buyer to inherit. And I said, well, how am I a liability? My coaching is almost second to none. So how am I a liability? But anyway, he didn't get the analogy. And then I thought the longer he left it, the more I realised there was like an air of resignation. Pardon the oxymoron, but there was an air of resignation about me not getting the job, even though he did say he was going to give me a 3-year deal, Barry. But probably not the first lie he's told, won't be the last. Because he recently lied on a podcast about seeing me work, and he never ever watched me work at any level in the club. Um, yeah, so the longer they left it, the point I'm making is the longer they left it with Ange, and I think he also had a resignation, Rob. He's like, you know what? I ain't been told nothing. I ain't heard nothing. He says to his wife, let's book this up. His heritage is Greek, and he's gone on holiday to Greece or the Greek islands with his wife and kids. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it is what it
gotcha.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But me personally, if you go back through our podcast over the season, and the fact that they're 22 defeats, which is disgusting. And he's expected to do both. I'm sorry, but like you can't pull that stroke with me, and he definitely wouldn't be able to pull the stroke with Levy, even though they were euphoric and they'd done like a 360 to the Spurs supporters. Or no, or maybe you'd call it a 180. They went from like wanting his head to like he's won the trophy, and he's like, oh no, he's got to stay on all the talk shows and in the paper and the general like the what do you call it opinion polls. But the fact that he's give it all, well, I'll concentrate all my efforts on that because I said we'll always win something in the second season. That's just spin, waffle, and bullshit, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But sorry for me language, but like there we are. You can't have a club like Spurs, one of the so-called big six, or big or even big eight now, having 22 defeats and what was it, 16th versus 17th or 17th versus 18th in the final. I
I
mean,
think it
it's
was, well,
listen,
16,
listen. What I'm going to
17, I
say to
think.
you, most directors, definitely most chairmen, they ain't got no bottle to hang in and hang tough and keep going and take the abuse and take the criticism, media criticism, supporter criticism. Least of all, someone like Daniel Levy, who he has, with the blessing of the owner and as chairman, he has allocated a lot of money to different managers over a period of time, and they haven't reaped the
Yeah.
rewards. I've said at the club, it's a cultural thing. I think that the thing is like maybe a bit of a barra boy mentality. Um, and with regards to the background at the club, they haven't produced the youngsters they should. No, there's no two ways about it. They haven't produced the young players they should. They've made some big boo-boos in the transfer market and spunked a lot of money. But nevertheless, he's not going to wear it. 22 defeats, getting hammered by supporters. I'm afraid there's only going to be one casualty. And the longer it went on, Rob, the more I knew that we was proved right on what we'd said on previous podcasts, which is ergo is a dead man walking.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to blow our own trumpet there slightly.
Well, no, but you can see these things coming. It ain't a case of blowing your own. Because listen, what I'm saying, I'm looking at all the stuff on YouTube. I'm listening to stuff on the radio. I think it's criminal that we haven't got, that we're not with what we've predicted, what I've said, what the foresight, the coaching points, the sometimes deep analysis. You ain't going to get it on any other podcast. You're not going to watch it. You're not going to hear it on any other podcast. And these people are getting paid. And what we're doing, we're just filling in like trying to find spare time to maybe, I don't know whether we're exercising our egos or I'm just trying to show that I've still got a bit of knowledge. I don't know what the motivation is anymore. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I don't think we've had the credit in terms of watchers and listeners and subscribers. I'm just saying that's how I feel. And it's not a case of blowing your own trumpet. What's right is right. That's the
Oh,
bottom line. What's right is right. If you know the game and you know what you're looking at. I'm listening to the commentary last night. I said to my missus, I come home, England under 21s versus Germany. Well done, by the way. After they nearly snatched defeat from the jaws of victory and then recovered. But
yeah,
some of the
great win.
claptrap there, all the cliche bullshit, front foot this and the way he's dealt with that there. You know what I mean? Just nonsense. No disrespect to the geezer, but and then the ones in the studio forget about it. Anyway, it is what it is. And we soldier on and stick to our beliefs. But it's nice to be proved right. Even if when you underline it, it does seem like you're blowing your own trumpet.
Well, someone's got to join, haven't they? So we might as well extol our own virtues, as it
I
were.
was questioning it this morning. I've never had the recognition I deserve. As a young player, child prodigy, I'd have been first, what the Yanks called a first draft pick. 10 clubs wanting your signature, come blitz through the ranks at Chelsea, and then hit a custard pie, got a custard pie, hit a brick wall, the proverbial crash and burn. You know what I mean? When I should have been nurtured, rested, built up, looked after physically, mentally, all the rest of it, a lot of shit going on off the field, getting in a bit of trouble myself, and then the clubs after and the clubs that wanted me. You know what I mean? Mr. Consistent. And then deep knowledge of the game. It's like someone said the other day, um, telling me about an incident involving a manager actually, um, in a night spot in London, involving actually an Orient manager. Um, Historically, I won't tell you, I won't pinpoint it, but he just said, like, I thought I'd tell you because of the pelters you've been taking and the people having a pop over 30 years over you effing and blinding at overpaid, underachieving mercenaries who had no resale value. You know what I mean? And he said you was flogging a dead horse and you was hung out to dry by football because of it. And people behind the scenes are getting away with this involving young women, right? So that's all I'm going to say on the matter. But anyway. The geezer was at the time was lucky to be able to take training because of the people involved. But that's all I'm going to say about the matter. But listen, what I'm going to tell you: the stories that I keep hearing and all that. It's like I said, and it's like the list I put in my book. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing, which is still available if you want to buy it. Via my website, via Twitter to me, or direct message to me, or via Amazon.co.uk. Right, the list of misdemeanors, what I did pales into insignificance. So the bottom line is, yeah, we have got to fucking blow our own trumpet because no one else will, and I think it's been a disgrace.
I can't disagree, John. After
I
that little
dare, I
interview,
dare anyone to disagree. I dare anyone to disagree because you still got people fucking telling lies about me on podcasts. Do you know what I mean? This fucking joke, this Barnum. You know what I mean? This Barnum. Telling like he never ever saw me work ever, ever, ever with any team or play with any team ever. He's only drawn his conclusion from what he saw postscript the documentary. And then if that's perceived as bullying, then I was bullied by every manager I ever played under, with the exception of George Petchy. And there's different types of bullying. Peacock bullied me contractually and bullied me and stopped me from getting a move to Brentford, and then tried to bully me into going to America, right? Because he'd already done the deal behind me back. He's just turned 80. But Karma's a bitch. He's paid him back. And then him and Clark kept me poor. They've both been paid back indirectly. Karma is an absolute bitch, believe me, because if you knew what I knew, which I'll tell you off camera, you say, you know what? Ha, I'm right about that as well.
well, you and Thou, I dare say, with what some snakes would clarify as bullying, I'd say
Yeah.
you and probably 75% of professional footballers ever have all been bullied, haven't they? Just to pluck a percentage out of the air, thousands and thousands. But anyway, you
Yeah.
mentioned Brentford there, which kind of 180s us back round to what we were talking about before
What's
we
what the new Spurs manager?
the new Spurs manager.
Yeah.
So what do we think about that?
You can't keep performing miracles and pulling rabbits out of hats. I've said it many, many times on this podcast over the hundreds that I've done and the 50 to 60 that I've done with you. And what he's going to be expected to perform miracles and pull rabbits out of hats. It won't be hard. I'm telling you now, right? It won't be hard to improve on last season in terms of 22 defeats, right? So he's already ahead of the game now, right? But
Yeah, good point.
he's going to have to win a pot to equal Postecoglou, right? And work on a restricted budget. They've done little or no business as per usual. They leave it to their last minute Lennies, right? Um, they've done little or no business again. You want your business done before pre-season. That's just my opinion. And anyone who's done business early, well done. Good luck to them. Top draw. That's the way to operate. I know the thing's whatever it is, 31st of July, is it? The thing, or 1st of August? Midnight 1st of August. The midnight 31st July coming into Circular. That's the deadline, or maybe 31st of August. Because I'm out of the loop in terms of management. I don't really care anyway. I'll just look
I
at
think it's the 31st of August.
whoever's buying and selling. In an ideal world, Rob, what you want is you want your business done and you want to be working with your new players during pre-season with regards to getting to know them getting to know your expectancy levels in terms of the way they live, the way they eat, rest, recuperate, fitness, all the stuff that I said 30 years ago, and your organisation is paramount. Um, I was present in the room as youth coach. We had a pre-season friendly against Arsenal. There was George Graham was sitting in there, I think, with David Seaman, one other, mate, might have been Dixon. I don't know what he was doing in there, what they was doing in there, but he coming out, he had a whiskey with Peter Eustace, and he said, and he's right. He said it was his favourite time of the season. It was his favourite time of year. He said because you're just managing through the season, game to game, 2 games a week. Who needs a massage? Who needs a bit of treatment? Who needs an ice pack on their knee, on a dead leg, whatever way? He said you can't get the work done. The only time you can get the work done is in pre-season. So um, yeah, good appointment because he's used to working on a restricted budget,
Yeah.
smaller club. Due respect to Brentford, because I think it's a fantastic club, and they started level with Leyton Orient um, and below Millwall. And it's what I've always said: the right people behind the scenes, the right organisation, the right blueprint, the right amount, like in terms of buying and selling, almost foolproof. Because they've made some fantastic buys and sold stuff for profit, sold players for
Mm.
profit. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a case of watch this space. I can't predict, but it won't be hard to be ahead of the game in terms of beating 22 defeats. What he's got to do is
No.
match hands with regards to a pot. And I
Oh,
suspect he might be able to. He might
mm.
well be able to. He seems sometimes talks a bit in cliches, but he seems very jovial, upbeat, positive character. Um, Tries to put a positive spin on which he might have to do um, on defeats that Brentford had. He might have to do it at Spurs because, like I said, I think it's a cultural thing, and they'll never learn. Same as the FA never learn.
Timing's a bit of a thing as well. And I know like a phrase or whatever you want to call it of yours uh, that you've said on podcasts before is 12 o'clock, 10 past 12, 10 to 12, or quarter to or quarter past, whatever way you want
Yeah,
to put it.
yeah,
It's
before the
about,
peak, approaching the peak,
mm,
and then falling away from the peak. Yeah, so I use like the 12 o'clock analogy. Yeah, you're right.
and maybe
Yeah,
Frank. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe Frank is kind of thinking. I mean, obviously the opportunity's been presented to him for Spurs, which perceivably is the bigger club,
yeah,
and maybe he's kind of thinking he's got Brentford at about. He's at about 12 o'clock on Brentford, taking him as
yeah,
far as he can go, and he's kind of thinking
yeah,
timing wise, yeah, I'm going for it, but
yeah. Five
we shall
past. It's
see.
five past. Three, four,
Yeah.
5. Yeah, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes past. What he is right about is talking up some of the players like a wide player getting over 20 goals for a mid-table side who he's put a bid on
Mm.
for Man United, competing with Man United to buy him, hasn't he?
Yeah,
By
he
the
looks
way,
like
I think he's going to need it, but good luck to the Republic of Ireland international who's taken over there. I think it's nice to see someone from the home nations, or all right, okay, in this case the Republic. But
Pete Andrews, is it?
listen, we're all in it together.
Mm.
We're all from these islands. I'd like to wish him good luck. Um, he was his set piece coach, and
That's right.
it's nice to see someone get get a foot in the door, and their first big job is actually in the Premier League instead of having to come up via the Championship to actually get your chance. But I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah,
Better
I agree.
first gig. It's a better first gig than the one I had, that's for sure.
Well, let's hope so for his sake, John. Yeah, Keith Andrews, I think it is,
Keith Andrews, yeah.
who's been promoted. So yeah, we'll see with Thomas Frank. We'll just touch briefly on the Club World Cup. A bit of a loose link, but you mentioned pre-season and preparation, etc., and that's a bit of the contrast and views about the Club World Cup at the moment because you've got two very clear camps as I've sort of read it in the papers, etc. You've got
Yeah,
the
yeah, you have, yeah.
this is bollocks. Why the hell is it? Excuse my language. Why the hell is this tournament taking place? It's just
Yeah,
another money grab. Rest and recuperation.
yeah,
Players need it. Yada yada
yeah,
yada. And then you've got the camp going. Well, they'd only be off to Malaysia or the USA or Australia
yeah,
or Japan or wherever making money on a pre-season tour anyway.
yeah.
So why not just do it here and use this as your pre-season? So I mean, you can make a good case for both
Pre-season was
sides.
usually for some clubs most clubs the first week of July, for some clubs
Mm,
the second week of July. I know managers like Trevor Francis, rest in peace. I know when Chris Bart Williams there, he said it did the minimum amount. It was a lot of jogging and stretching and a lot of like power runs, three-quarter pace, small-sided games, and then in. Whereas others would take you to army camps, like your Bassett's and the other head cases like Eustace that we had at Orient. Um, yeah, I don't know what that's about because you've, or maybe I do, to try
bit of a
and
gimmick, in my
build a
opinion,
false.
but
Yeah, it's a gimmick, and it's trying. You probably may be lacking ideas yourself, and build a false camaraderie.
yeah,
But the bottom line is, right, I'm with the first camp. And I'm with Danny Murphy, who had a row with Simon Jordan about it on the Talk Sport. Not a row, but a heated discussion.
yes, I
Because
did, yeah,
I'm 100% with Danny Murphy. And then it reminds me of something Frank Clark said: the game's about money and medals. Well, in this case, it's about money. The winners get 100 million. Um, the, but then it's like not contradiction is the wrong word. It's like an unfair. It's like an unfair competition because you've got the South American sides who are like basically in the middle of their season, so they're
mm,
on blob and they're still relatively fresh. And then you've got the European clubs who have come to the end of a long, hard, sluggish season with European commitments, international commitments. They come off the back of the championships uh, 2024. And then, so obviously every 2 years, European World Cup, European World Cup, European World Cup. And they're basically going to be cream crackered, absolutely Cockney rhyming slang for knackered for our northern brethren, right? But so it's not even a fair competition. And then and then you're flogging a dead horse because the players, even if you experiment a little bit and give others their chance, which some clubs have done, um, it's going to give a false reading with regards to results. Um, and when are they expected to actually do pre-season? Because by the time it's over and they fly back, you're going to have something like maybe 4 weeks to the start of our season. So when are they meant to have a
also,
break? It used to be you end the season, you'd have your break, maybe go away end of May, beginning of June, like I used to. Then you come back and you start to have a little tickle. You know what I mean? A few light weights and the jogging and stretching, and maybe like say a few light weights, a bit of circuit training, then a jog and a stretch, and then you're back into pre-season. And then you do, but you only did that. Even you did players didn't even used to do that right? At Chelsea, they'd come back. There's a photo with that. Oh, I had David Webb in the back row because he was so overweight when they took the team photo, right? That's a true story. That's a true story, right? But then it changed again, and players actually started to get ready for the start of pre-season, right? Now there's no rest. That can't be right, and that's only going to hammer our players.
just to clarify, I mean, I know the answer because I've seen it, and it's fairly obvious through what you've said. The Danny Murphy, Simon Jordan debate about the Club World Cup. Just clarify briefly, Danny Murphy's point that you are firmly in the camp of
Yeah, yeah. I'm
daft.
sorry. Yeah, sorry if I went all round the houses because I do. And if I confuse the issue, that's the sorry, Rob, and all that, and to the listeners, but like, no, I'm with him. because it's what he said. You've got the foreign clubs like the South American clubs. They're halfway through. They're not even halfway through their season, so they're as fresh as daisies, and they're playing against players who played previously played in European competition, their own leagues, their own domestic cups, and then before that internationals. Or during thing, and they're knackered at the end of a long hard season. Plus, they've had to travel out there, fly all the way out there. You know what I mean? So, but the winners get 100 million, so that takes care of the money and medals part of it.
Yeah. No, obviously I knew I've seen or listened to their debate. So for those that hadn't, just want you to doubly clarify where you stood on it. Saying about the prize money, I did read the other day. And I think this is before they're even out of the group stage. Chelsea's prize money for winning a couple of games in their group, suppose that's paid for their purchase of Liam Delap from Ipswich. So just turning up and playing a couple of games against arguably fairly inferior opposition has
Mm.
brought a new centre forward.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's
If you want to look at it like that, good luck to him. I think he's a go back through the podcast. I said clubs should be looking at him. It was from the Ministry of State and the obvious. He's powerful. He's big. Which are not my prerequisites, but I'm just saying as assets in the modern game. Bit of pace, good on the ball, good target man, can set it off one or two touch, and looks to score goals and a physical handful. And I thought he'd have been good. So for 30 million in this market, this day and age, I think they've nicked him. I think they've nicked him.
I I agree.
But it's no
For
good what you just said. It's no good that if you lose a centre back and a centre midfield player through overuse injuries.
No, I mean going back to
Anyone, if we're still doing this podcast, anyone watching this podcast, remember this podcast, remember what I'm saying, right? Round about Christmas, watch all the hamstrings go ping and watch the calves get torn. I've been there,
especially
seen it, done it,
yeah,
um, got the scar tissue.
yeah, especially for the players at Chelsea and Man City, who of course are the
Yeah.
English representatives over there, and if they get to the final or even the semi-final, I think the tournament's not due to end until the middle of July. So going
Mm.
back to your point about pre-season earlier, John,
Then the
that's
England
bad.
problem. Then you've got the England problem, Rob. Then
Yeah,
you've got the England problem. You've got Championship coming up next year, and they're going to be all over the gaff. USA,
yeah,
Canada, Mexico. You're going to be flying all over the gaff. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have the England problem as well, and he's banging trouble already. When they think that he got Southgate got the job by default, right? Originally didn't want the job. I give it to Allardyce. Allardyce gets caught on tape, um, supposedly breaking regulations or saying how you can circumnavigate regulations. It comes back to Southgate by default. Southgate very understatedly so, very like understated determination and ruthlessness, and got it just right, but never got us over the line. He gets a knighthood, right? Some would say he deserves it. I don't think he does. Um,
no,
it's like the mayor. It's a massive reward for failure, and that's what we're good at.
well, we've only got three and a half minutes.
Rewarding heroic failure, right?
Yeah,
This geezer, this geezer's banging trouble because I'll tell you why. Because I've been there again. He's given the appearance, like I did, of being a cheerleader. And if I look at the England under 21s last night against Germany, even though they nearly snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, recovered and got the 3-2, and well done to them. But they played it with a zest and a passion and a purpose and pace, and they looked organised. Whereas the full England side looked like a bag of licorice all sorts, all over the
yeah,
gaff. Different interpretations of this, different interpretation. He inherited a good squad from Southgate, and I think the only way from the top of the mountain, after failing to actually conquer the summit, the only way is down the other side, but actually round the side and down. And he's in grave danger. It's your biggest thing. This is for any coach. You want to be similar to Southgate, although he got a lot of stuff wrong, and I think the rot set in with the Croatia game in Russia, which we should have won. He was tactically outthought and outfought, and he had no one alongside him. as in Holland, to say what we've got to do. We've got to take a chance and push him on there and give Harry some help and push them back instead of them pushing us back and getting an overloading midfield, which I had a disagreement again with Alan Hudson. He went to me out. It was nothing to do with Modric then. And I said, well, forget Modric. I said, I could have played there. I said, if you've got a two-man overload and you've got like all the time in the world on the ball, well, the bottom line is England got pushed back. I said we had too many people marking nobody. Right, we had 5 against 1 at times at the back, and they put the wrong players in the wrong areas instead of committing certain players forward. Anyway, tactically, he was outthought him and Holland, and then we know the thing with Italy. That's when you've got to be proactive when you take the 1-0 lead. We ended up losing the penalties, and then. Right, this geezer, I've been there. All the come on lads and well done and keep it going and all that. Dan, you don't want to be doing that every now and again, once in a blue moon.
Got
So
1 minute left, John,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I'm just letting you know that's my opinion. I think he's in trouble already. It should be about everything should be to do with technical and tactical observations and adjustments, with the odd bit of praise thrown in.
All right, unfortunately, apologies, we're going to have to wrap it there before we get clocked off by technology. So thanks from me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said earlier, tune into the next one. We'll try and do another one soon where we might go a bit deeper into England and the under 21s
For
and a
sure.
few transfers at that point. So thank you from me.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone. Thanks for your time. Please watch, share, subscribe, tell your mates, and I'd like to thank you, Rob, in particular, for your unbelievable help and commitment and patience with it all. And speak to you next time.
Yeah, kind words, John. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks.